Hey guys, this is Eric Broadus, back again with another video about success in the military. Today's segment I want to cover technical training, basically for the Air Force, your tech school. Your tech school will basically give you, will teach you the skills that you need to carry out your job or your career throughout the military. In the future, once you start your first enlistment, you may desire to reclassify or change career fields. But once you graduate basic training, depending on your job or your career field, you may be required to follow on to tech school, or you may go DDA. DDA is direct duty assignment. Basically, in a nutshell, your job or career doesn't require you to go through classes or school. You're basically going to go directly to the job, and you'll learn as you go along or get hands-on training. Now, once you get to your first duty station, you'll have what is known as career development courses. The acronym basically is called CDCs. You'll have these in your tech school. Now, let me explain the importance of passing these career development courses. The Air Force and the military period, the government invests a lot of money in giving recruits or career people paid instruction. So the government expects a return on their investment, and with anything that a business or the government puts money into, they expect a payout or return. So these classes that you're taking in your tech school, there's always a cost to everything, and this right here is basically like the second phase, an extension in a sense of your basic military training. So even though the basic military training might have been a bit more rigid or seem a bit more chaotic to get you used to change or to introduce you to the Air Force or whatever your specific branch of service is. But following on to your tech school, you want to make sure that you develop good study habits. One thing I would definitely ensure while you're going through tech school is to you must develop good discipline. You're going to have to, when you get in tech school, you're going to have more freedom than you did in basic training, and to some degree the responsibility will be on you to make sure you get specific homework assignments done and to make sure that you pass these classes. Now, here's the what's at stake if you don't pass these courses. What they're going to put you in technical school, they're called phases. Now, the reason why they put new recruits that transition from basic training to tech school or AIT into, say, phases is because under basic training you've been under restriction for so long during that time period, and they don't want to fully release a new recruit, you know, without giving you some type of discipline. It's like kind of slowly weeding you off of the restricted phase and restrictions that you had in basic training to just all-out freedom. So they'll put you in phases. Now, these phases, I believe, go from, for the Air Force, from phase 1, I believe, to either phase 3. And you want to make sure that you obey the rules and have good discipline, because if you mess up in these phases, each phase has a certain level of privileges, and if you don't obey the rules, then the instructors, they can take away your phases, which will in turn limit your freedoms and liberty. But back to the career development courses, you want to make sure you'll be tested like you would if you were in school or any college, and these career development courses that you're taking, which the Air Force is paying for, they are worth college credits. So my advice to the new recruits, you know, saying that are going through tech school, even though it's much more lax than say basic training, it's not as restrictive, and you have a bit more freedom, but you don't want to take anything for granted. You want to make sure you develop good habits, because these habits are going to follow you throughout your entire career. If you don't pass these courses while you're in technical training, what will happen is that it will be up to the commander. If you don't pass and you fail, you get so many tries, and you know, it may be 2, maybe 3, and there's a certain limit. Whereas if you continue to fail, then your commanding officer has to put you on what's called the waiver, which there are different circumstances that may warrant a waiver, such as maybe like hardship cases. But to your new recruits, I would highly suggest don't bank on that. You know, make sure you develop good study habits. Be able to be a good organizer of your time. If there's one thing you're going to have to do in any branch of the military, you're going to have to be able to adapt to change, and you must be a good organizer of your time. And while you are going through tech school, it's not as rigid as basic training, but there are definite rules, and you're still under the probationary period, and they're watching to see how well you adapt and adjust to military lifestyle. Tech school, you have freedom, and as long as you get your coursework done and make sure that play by the rules. And I definitely want to stress this to young men that are going through tech school, and because I honestly believe that women are better socialized, and they seem to be able to adapt, you know what I'm saying, to school and stuff like that, because they're more socialized and maybe more inner-directed, whereas as young men, their energy is more outer-directed, and for young men, they need more of a purpose to keep them focused so they can hone in. And so I understand that, you know, you get out of basic training, and okay, now I've got my freedom back. I'm in a different environment or a different state, you know, that I haven't been in before. So it's definitely an exciting time, and for the young men and the young women, definitely enjoy yourself, but make sure you don't lose focus. Those career development courses and the training that you are getting from the military, I would say make sure you take it seriously, because it will affect your career. And if you don't pass these classes, what'll happen, the Air Force can discharge you, basically give you an administrative discharge, saying that a failure to adapt. And you don't want to you know, have that happen after making a decision to serve your country, and you put a lot of work into it, and so you want to continue that. But tech school, it's definitely a fun time, but I would definitely say be disciplined. You know, make sure you organize your time so where you have enough time to study, and know your material. If you know your material, I mean, being honest with you, the course, you know what I'm saying, or the tests are not that hard. Now, granted, there are career fields that will be more technical and others, so they're going to require more in-depth detail. So I would say do like you would do if you were in college or in high school. You basically, you get in, you get out what you put in. So I would say don't take anything for granted, or don't take anything lightly. Take the courses seriously. Be disciplined and follow the rules. And young men, I will say it again, young men, you know, do your best, you know, to focus. Like I said, this applies for the young ladies too, but women seem to have a easier time, you know, going through school. This is even through high school and stuff like that, whereas young men, or men, our energy is different. So we need to kind of focus and hone that energy into something positive. And there'll be time, you know, during tech school and even after that, because tech school, most of them are not going to last that long. But even in the event that you're there, say even if your tech school lasts a year, the habits never change. Make sure you make time and be on top of your game. Stay on top, of those classes. You don't want to have to answer to your first sergeant or to your commander, as to why you need a waiver, as to why you're not passing these classes. The Air Force spends money, and they expect a return on investment. And I would say to you, just organize your time appropriately. Be on time. You still have to pass your physical fitness training, but if you can just follow those basic simple rules, discipline, saying organize your time, even if you only need, say, maybe an hour a day. Each individual is different in terms of how they process information and how they learn. But I would say the simple acronym called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't make it difficult. And if you stay on top, of these classes, you don't want to get behind in your coursework. And that's because you don't want to have to make up work or get behind it. Now you're chasing your class schedule instead of you being on top of it. In tech school, you're only allotted so much time for exams, for coursework, and you have to graduate within that specific time frame, or else you can either be set back, or that they can wash you out, of that class. And these are administrative problems, potential administrative problems if you don't pass these classes. So I would say to the new recruits, go get them, be disciplined, obey the rules. Obey the rules. No one man or no one woman is going to be able to beat a system. So obey the rules of your instructors. Obey the rules of your specific phase. And your tech school, you should be successful, and it'll all be over with soon. Next week, I'll be moving on to AIT, starting with for the United States Army. But the basic rules for military life are basically the same. You want to discipline and organize your time and obey the rules. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Please like, unlike, share, subscribe, and the video. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.